and we're thinking about what healing looks like for Black women and Black women in connection, and like building community and even establishing our own families from a place of love, we're gonna have to probably release the judgment we have around what our ancestors and our mothers couldn't do. Because while holding on to that judgment and resentment is also blocking us from connecting with women now. Because everybody is kind of stuck in being a daughter. Everybody's stuck in being a child in a way, and we're kind of all kind of forcing each other to weave in and out of child and mother instead of moving into womanhood. And I think, especially, I can say this for myself, of like, I became a mother so young in life that I became a mother before I even entered womanhood. And so my ability to mother does not match my womanhood. Like I feel like I'm really just coming into womanhood from a place of wisdom, versus even before I had children, I've been a mother because I was a parentified child. I had to mother myself. And so mothering, I guess, in a sense, comes natural to us in a lot of ways, which is also why we mother our friends. And so if we connect in our friendship, hey lady, if we start our friendship from a place of, I want you to mother me because my inner child has long been abandoned, and my inner child is really who's picking and choosing who I'm in relationship with. Now I'm choosing women who can mother all these different ages that have been left stranded long ago. And so, like, one friend might be able to mother my 8-year-old, while another friend might be able to mother my 13-year-old. Meanwhile, I ain't mothered none of them. And the tension that happens, I think, amongst women when we're in community and friendship with each other is what happens when that friend isn't able to show up in that mother role. Now you feel rejected, now you feel abandoned, now you feel like the relationship is unequally yoked. When did I actually connect with this woman from a place of shared desire, shared interest? Do I like her as a person outside of how she makes me feel and what she does for me? Do I just genuinely like who she is? A lot of the times, no. Especially as we're getting older, and now you're looking at maybe your friendships from high school and college, and realizing y'all met as girls, and that worked when y'all was girls, because perhaps she was mothering a side of you, you were mothering a side of her. What happens when one of you become your own mother? Then now she feels rejected and abandoned, and then now y'all don't fuck with each other no more. So when we're starting to mature in this way, you also gonna have to look at your relationships with women of, is this woman a mother of herself, or is she looking to me to be that for her? I can't wait until my insurance kicks in next month so I can restart therapy. Let me go up. Let me see what other little notes I had. And I think it goes beyond friendship. I think it applies to our relationships. I'm speaking about friendship amongst women in particular because all of these different areas that I feel like are topics that we're all talking about. So, like, even decentering men. I don't think decentering men is even about men. I think it's having to recenter love in general. And in order for you to even have access to love, you would have to have access to yourself, and you would have to be responsible for yourself, because the access to love requires responsibility. And that has to be established before friendship as well. So, like, for me, I think in decentering men, it brought a focal point to my relationship with women, because if you unpack your love patterns and like the men you are choosing is going to reroute you back to your mom, because our mothers are the ones who program us into our love beliefs and our love patterns. And once you start to unpack your love pattern with your mom, then it's also going to lead to all of your relationships, because all of your relationships are affected by your love patterns. And I don't think you can choose relationships from a place of love if love was not a priority. If only surviving was a priority, if just basic levels of care and necessity was a priority, it's going to be very hard for you to even honestly know what love is, because it's already in a deficit. So it's like you don't even really know what love is, or you don't even know what it is that you want, because you're hungry. You've been starved in a way. And so um, I think we know that on the surface when it comes to romantic relationships, but I also think when it comes to friendships, it still applies. And I think like I was having a conversation with Carlissa yesterday about like the fact that being responsible and taking care of yourself feels burdensome. One, it feels burdensome because back to what I was saying about like the generational shit of like, look how far back our our woundedness goes. Meaning, like, if we're in our first generation of people really healing, think about how burdensome that is. Because like we started in a deficit, so like even to get to ground zero is going to be hard. But I think even getting to a stable point or to get to ground zero, you got to think, then what? When you get there, you are going to want to be met with relationships and connections that feel like love. And I think it would only have to come from women doing this type of emotional work, because that's who's going to spread the love, if that makes sense. The like, we are having to reclaim and embody a different frequency of mother. And I don't think you have to have children to have to embody this energy, because I think even when it comes to relationships, you will shine a light on your friends and where they are emotionally stagnant. Not to say that even in your relationships that it'll be your responsibility to mother them, but it is going to trigger them if you're doing that work, and trigger them into action to heal and grow and develop more emotional depth. I would like us to collaborate to discuss this topic. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Substack. Yeah, I never went live on Substack. I'm down for that. Um, let me see. Even work relationships, I work with all men. Definitely need to heal my relationship with masculinity and my relationship with work and perfectionism. That's something lady was talking about in her live earlier that I said, like, I think I need to unpack that more. I think when I think about my relationship to men and masculinity, I I don't know if I've gotten too deep into that. I also don't know. That's why I say I think I need to unpack that because I feel like I don't know that I need to, because I feel like when it comes to my dad, I don't have a lot of. I don't hold men to the same uh, responsibility that I think I hold women to. Just because I don't think men. Let me think about this real quick. I guess because of most of I think my work over the last couple of years have been emotional. That I think my. What are you doing?
I'm going back outside.
Can you give me a popsicle? That was the last one?
Did you eat all yours?
I don't know. I forgot about them.
Clement said hi, Mommy.
Hi, Clement.
She said hi, Clement.
Now I'm talking about some hey beautiful. Oh my goodness. That made me lose my train of thought. What was we talking about? What was we talking about? Masculinity. I don't hold them to the same standards. No. Reason being, when it comes to like connection and intimacy, I think men can only go to a certain depth. And I think a lot of my work over the last couple of years has been more internal, because the things that I feel like fathers teach their daughters, I don't feel like my father per se taught me, but because in the years that I probably really needed mothering instead of fathering, I had my father, and that I think made me hyper masculine in a way. So like the more like independence and masculine traits that I think women need, I think I already had. Which is why I also think like in my romantic relationships, I think I've always been the masculine one, to be honest. That like the men that I've dated, I think took on more of the feminine role. Ooh. Unfortunately. But not a growth skater. If you're still here at the end, I'll take questions so you can come up. But I think more of my work was emotional, and I don't think men. I think men can hold space. I think men can even create the container for you to dive deeper in your emotions, but I don't think they can help you when it comes to depth. And back to like the analogy I gave a while ago, and another live was like, I think women are water beings, and I think men are land beings. So can land beings go into the ocean? Sure, but they are they don't know how to breathe underwater, and so they can only go but so deep before they are going to need to go back to shore. Whereas I feel like women learn to breathe under the water, like the water is not going to kill us, versus I think it can men, honestly. Maybe this is why we yin and yang so well. um yeah, I think also like our astrology, I was looking at my chart um, earlier, and my seventh house is ruled by Aries, and it made me think of you. And like seventh house is about like relationships. Also, my north node is in my seventh house too. So like even our sibling dynamic situation. So like my north node is in my seventh house with Aries, and like your north node is like your future direction. It's the direction. Like if you ever feel lost, look at your north node and go in that direction, basically. Versus your south node is like past life energy, which for me is Libra, which is all about like family. And so kind of moving from family dynamics into a more like creating my own relationships and family is supposed to be the goal in this lifetime. So it made me think of you when I was looking at like this makes sense why our sibling ish thing, and me being a Virgo, your brother being a Virgo, it makes sense. um but where else was I going? But this is our nature or our evolution based on our need to survive. So like even like the water and land analogy that I give with men or women, even women still need to adapt to land too. That like we, because water and earth, we do this dance with each other, that men need to be pulled into the water sometimes, and sometimes we need to be pulled onto earth. And I think most of my adult life anyway, I lived on land, and I might dip my toe in the water, versus the last couple of years have been me like submerged in water. And I think that's probably why I haven't dived like too deep on the masculine, because I don't know that that's my focus right now. But I do feel like it's something I need to unpack. Like, is that now that I'm kind of coming out of isolation, is that what I need to be looking into more? So like even when you were talking, lady, earlier about the discipline and devotion being like hand in hand and going together, like you develop your discipline from your father. It did make me think like, is my one, I don't think my dad is disciplined at all. But it made some things make sense that I feel like I want to think deeper about. I get it. It's like one thing at a time, not all at once. It's a process. Yeah, I think it's too much to handle all at once. But I also think when it comes to the mother father thing, I don't want to dismiss fathers in that way. They're like, oh, they're not needed in that way. But I think because so much of who we are stems from our mother, and this is why I say like lineage comes from the mother, not the father. That like women are the lineage holders, and so yes, fathers have an input in that, But I think as far as genetic coding comes from your mother's line. So a lot of your subconscious programming, a lot of the internal unworkings and untanglements is going to be from your mom, not your dad. That your dad might be more so focused on behavior and action, but before you can even get to behavior and action, you would have to deal with the subconscious, and the subconscious is connected to the feminine. I'm gonna write down why I think he does. We can discuss it later. Okay. So yeah. But I think the issues that we have with men as women aren't really issues with men. It's issues with women. That men just get to reflect back to us it from a different angle or a different perspective that we turn a blind sight to with women. Like I seen a TikTok earlier, and they were talking about how to stay in friendships a lot of times amongst women, you gotta lie. That like women who are the truth tellers and who are honest and in integrity don't have a lot of friends, because friendships with women will also require you to lie, because women have a very hard time with accountability. And it was a man saying this, so I hate to agree with a man, but I do agree that as much as we talk about men, I think women have a harder time with accountability than men do. And I think it's because of shame, the shame that we carry. And because we carry a great deal of shame within our body. And I think even we carry a lot of men's shame too, that like we haven't fully delegated their shame back to them too. That like we've been holding on to our personal shame, but we've also carried men's shame a lot of the time too. And so we have this bundle of shame that as an emotion we don't know how to process. And so when it is triggered, we completely turn a blind eye to it. If you lie to yourself, you are eventually going to make me have to lie to you. Agreed. I think even the whole lying, I think go back to that whole mother-child thing. Like a lot of a lot of my whoopings growing up was because I told the truth, to be honest. So much so that like it got to a certain age where I would just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna get in trouble anyway, so I might as well, if I'm gonna get in trouble anyway, I'm gonna stay out until I feel like coming home, because whether I lie or I tell the truth, I'm still gonna be in trouble. I might as well enjoy myself and go home and tell the truth of like, this is what I did. I was never really like a liar as a child. That like I would just take the punishment. Even I used to tell my sister that all the time. Like if we would go out, the guys would keep the like they kids, they not babysitting, but like we out for the day, and she would be like checking the phone and like, oh, maybe we should get back. I'm like, if they got an attitude because we've been out all day, they already got an attitude. We might as well take our time now. Like shit, we might as well go get us a little drink before we go home. That like if I'm already in trouble, then shit, ain't no need in half getting in trouble. That's like even right now, what I'm going through with my sisters is like, if I'm the villain, I'ma just make it look good, and I'ma wear it proudly. Matter of fact, my attitude gonna be worse, so that like you really feel like, damn, this bitch is really a villain because you didn't already gave me that title. That like, what I'm gonna do? Try to half be the villain. What I'm gonna try to do? Try to like make it a little more digestible. No, I might as well fully live up to it now. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah. I admire my friends that were like that. I spent my entire childhood afraid. I think for me, I I got in trouble a lot to where it just was like, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. I might as well like say fuck it. But I think in adult years, I don't know if that has always been helpful either, because I think it also made me not trust other people's opinions, or like be a student to where like you shouldn't do that, because now I feel like, well, it's consequences either way. I'll figure it out. And that too hasn't worked in my favor. Reminds me of that viral video of a girl saying she stopped being friends with a friend that cheats. I know that was like a lot of controversy with that. What do y'all think about that? Do you feel like you would stop being friends with somebody that cheat? I don't think I would stop being my. Now, I don't know if I'd be lying for you and all of that, especially if you married, you got a good man. Like, I'm not finna be lying for you and shit, but I don't know if I'd stop being your friend. I really wouldn't stop being your friend if I don't like the man. It depends on the situation. If she's a chronic philanderer and deceitful, yeah, I think that's different. That like, if that's just a part of your personality, I would be side eyeing, you know. I like my friends real enough to be straight up with everyone around them. But I will say, I had a friendship breakup, and all the signs that she wasn't somebody I would be friends with, like in terms of like integrity, were all there. That like, when it came down to why we stopped being friends, it was like I was totally thinking like the best of you, when if I looked at all of your relationships and how you treated them, I should not have been surprised that you did what you did. They're like, so I guess yeah. I feel like it would just depend on the situation, I guess. They always treat their friends the way I think a lot of women treat their friends worse than they treat men. That also brings me to another point when it comes to the whole like women in friendship conversation. If you don't get a hold of your inner child, and you're completely unconscious of the ways that they show up, all of your relationships are going to be you're going to accumulate your relationships based on how they can serve you, just like you would men. As in, like, you dating, you got a man that pay your rent, you got a man that get your hair and your feet done. The same, I think the same happens with friendships, that like, you're gonna choose friends that will serve you. That's how my mama was. Everybody paying. I feel like I didn't date it for potential and for love. it's time for me to start dating for some money. I had an old friend that think her friends the help. Yeah, and I think you could try to be covert with that, but it'll always show, because I think consideration is a foundation. Hey, Jillian. When it comes to friendships in particular, different from romantic relationships, because romantic relationships, you also got a different level of intimacy that can bypass your rationale, I guess. But when it comes to friends, you don't have that piece. And so, really, all you have is your connection and how you relate to that person. And which makes it even harder for you to disguise being considerate. And if your friends aren't considerate of you, and this is as somebody that has felt like my friends don't consider me, why did I choose those friends? Because they didn't just start not considering me. They've been not considering me, which means I chose them as friends because they served a position for my inner child. And that's the part that even the victim in the situation ain't the victim. That, like, you set up your friendships to need you. You set up your friendships to be of service to them and not of you, because that's your love pattern that, like, you're not used to being poured into. And so you position your friendships to be of service to them. And now, just because I'm healing, I am growing emotionally. Now I'm stepping off land, and I'm offshore. I'm back into the water, and I'm drowning. And y'all bitches looking at me drown and high-fiving me, saying, like, you strong, girl. And I'm like, no, like, I need a raft here. And no one is sending me a raft. They're not sending me a raft because I had a raft and I gave it to them. And so, like, bitch, if I give you this raft, I'm going to drown. Like, no, I can't save you. You already saved me, and now you knew I couldn't swim. I can't, how am I going to give you a raft? How am I going to give you my life jacket? You swam here and gave it to me. So it's like, you're going to have to give up that victimhood if you really want real friendship, because a part of the friction that happens, I think, in letting go of old friends and reestablishing new friends from a place of love is, now you got this resentment piece of, like, well, these people didn't show up for me. I had all these friends that didn't see it for me. But it's like, you chose them, and you chose them for particular reasons. It ain't all on them. I should have her help yesterday's. Wait, I don't know who you're talking. I was overly considerate, also not healthy, but I definitely know when I'm motherfucking being inconsiderate. Yeah. I feel like you are gonna have to give up victimhood if you want genuine friendship. Yeah, because if you so dead set on being a victim, you're dead set on being a child. Because back to that mother-child dynamic, that I get to be the victim in this because you're the parent. You brought me here. You're supposed to be the more mature one. So, like, I don't need to take no ownership here. I'm just the child. So in your friendships, if you want real friendship, there has to be ownership on both ends. That, like, yeah, you didn't show up for me, but I also didn't require it of you initially. My fault. I'm asking for it now. If you can't meet me here, I gotta eat that. That, like, that wasn't a part of the agreement that I was gonna have to show up for you initially. Like initially, we wrote this out. We signed it. You was gonna be of service to me, and I was gonna keep you company, so that you wouldn't feel lonely, so you wouldn't feel isolated. That you were laboring for love. You agreed to this. That like now you resent me. So it's like you also gonna have to let that go. You're gonna have to eat that. And I was having a conversation yesterday, and now really is about my sister, but I was saying like all the little like sinister fuck shit that's going on is my fault, because I let it get to this point that like I changed. She hasn't changed. So like she's looking at me like, bitch, this is not a part of our fucking agreement. I broke the contract. And so I gotta deal with what comes with breaking a contract. Now the hurtful thing about this, this is about my sister, but it's really about friendship. What I'm coming to, that really like hit me in the gut yesterday, that like the whole sister thing is not that big deal, really. I could get over that. Like my family is dysfunctional. The sister thing hurts, but it's not that big of a deal. It is with this in particular sister, because I didn't see her as my sister. I saw her as my friend. And really, the shit that's happening and she doing is like, damn, you was never really my friend. Like, all this time, I've been looking at you and treating you how I would my friends. Because I don't treat my friends the way I treat my sisters. The way I treat my other sister versus this sister, totally different. And so, like, I've been treating you like my friend, and you never saw me like that. Because even in my friendship breakups that I've had over the years, I still don't smut them. I'm not going to tell their business. Why? Because I still got love for you. That, like, I'm not going to, I can't, because at one point, I saw you as a friend. At one point, I signed that agreement. I still have love there for you. I'm not going to erase the 15 years we were friends just because we outgrew each other. That was 15 years that we laughed, we had a good time together. Even if it was a surface level relationship, at the time I didn't think so. At the time I'm thinking, this is my best friend, I rock with you, I love you damn bad. So I'm not going to talk bad about you now. And I think like that's the part that feels shitty, is realizing, because even in my friendship breakups, my friends also has like, they're also on the same shit, that like, I still love you, we're just not friends no more. Cool. But this with my sister is like, oh bitch, you never really fuck with me for real. Because a friend wouldn't do me like this for real. And it's just like, ouch. But that's where I feel like, even still, I gotta eat that. This was the contract. I decided to break the contract because I decided to take myself back. That wasn't the agreement. That was because I think with trauma bonds, which is what this is, and even when it comes to friendships that we didn't orchestrated to be the servant in, that it's a trauma bond ultimately, and in a trauma bond, no one is thinking about eventually evolving out of, because we're talking about survival. We're talking about our basic needs being met here. We're not talking about in 10 years where like we're going to be more evolved in new people, and like what are we going to explore together. No, that's not the thought process. And even if it is, it's not anything deep. You might be talking about surface level shit, because surface level relationships don't go no deeper than that. Like, you can't weave in and out of deepness or depth. That like either you have depth or you don't. I find it it's either that's a black or white situation. It's either you know how to swim or you don't. Hmm. So yeah, the whole friendship thing is gonna require accountability and responsibility, because I think that's the price of love is responsibility. That like even when it comes to family and being a mother, that like you are birthing a pure innocent soul who is nothing but love. In order to have access to that level of purity, you have to be devoted to the responsibility of that. And a lot of our mothers, even if I'm include myself, I became a mother at a very young age, that like no one is teaching me about protecting and cultivating a child's innocence, to hold that as a responsibility. They're like, we think the responsibility is surface level shit of like, of course I'm a protect and provide, but like the real protecting and providing has to be love. That like, what type of human being do I want this child to grow into? What type of life do I want them to have? And a lot of what we have been taught to prioritize has still been around survival of like, I'm gonna leave my child generational wealth. You talking about money. Whereas generational wealth would be to teach your child love for real, because the love is going to be with him or her wherever they go, even past this lifetime. That like in the next lifetime, you're taking your heart space with you. That's the in comedic science they talk about my at the end of your life cycle, they do the weight of the heart. The weight of the heart ceremony is to test how light is your heart. The weight of your heart. Have you carried around 1,000 years of pain throughout your lifetime, or did you do the work to shed it and bring lightness to your life? And I think that's the plight that black people have. That like we got a thousands of years of even if we just gonna say 400, which I think our pain predates slavery, because if it started with slavery, we would have never been enslaved. But even if we're gonna start at slavery, that a lot of us are carrying around 400 years worth of pain in our heart. And then that we are just starting to really be able to put some of that weight down. That like some of that weight is now going back to white people. Some of that weight is going back to men, because y'all know my theory when it comes to racism and shit is like, racism is a byproduct of the patriarchy. That patriarchy was first. So like, even the whole decentering men, I think is us giving some of that weight back. That us reclaiming love in a way that allows us to be a little more free-hearted, a little more loving, that also benefit men, which is why men need to decenter men. That they don't even realize that, like, this weighing your soul down. Fuck what you think you're doing to women. That, like, it might take you 10 lifetimes to work that off. And here you are thinking that, oh, I just cheated on my wife. No, you broke her heart. What do you think the price of breaking somebody's heart is? Especially somebody that already got 400 years worth of pain, and you just added, you know how long it takes to heal heartbreak? Well, you just add another 20 years? Think about a woman who was married for 25 years, got her heart broke. She may never fully recover from that. Next 40 years of her life gone. the likeness of her heart gone. If you think you're not gonna pay for that, you're sadly mistaken. They're like, men don't even know the price that they paying. Which is also why I think the condition of men is where it's at, because religion isn't teaching that part. Religion is, in a way, teaching how to be more dominant when it should be more about surrender, I guess. Ooh, excuse me. That sounds like a Tony Braxton song. It sure do. But what? How did I get there? How did I start talking about my? I don't know, but I think when it comes to inner child, our inner child is tucked behind our ego, and we'll fight tooth and nail for our ego. We won't fight tooth and nail for our innocence. We won't fight tooth and nail for our purity. And how I see it is, our ego is here. That's the first layer. Then it's the inner child. Then it's your innocence. Then, like, there is no reclaiming your purpose. There is no reclaiming your authenticity without having to die to the self you think you know, the self that thinks they're right, because that sounds very, like, teenage, like, that, like, I was talking about that, I think, in last life or the life before, of, like, can't nobody tell me nothing. That's purely, like, the ego fighting against itself. I've been writing this essay I haven't finished. Death by 1,000 cuts will lead you back to love. That, like, our ego doesn't just die once. It love requires us to constantly be killing the ego that was created from disconnection. They're like, we all have an ego. You're not getting rid of the ego. You're not getting rid of the shadow. The purpose is to bring you back to love, to bring you back to purity. And, like, the more that you fight it, it's like you're just getting further and further and further away from what you're chasing. Because like even thinking about narcissists who personally I think narcissism, this is why I think a lot of people say everybody has a touch of narcissism or like has narcissistic traits. It's because I think narcissism is extreme arrested development. And this is why I'm saying like the conversation about arrested development, there's a broader conversation of like we always are weaving in and out of these ages, which is why we all have narcissistic traits. Nobody is fully all of who they are. They're like we have all of these different versions of ourselves that is constantly asking for our attention. And I think with narcissism, it's you have abandoned yourself at a very young age that feels impossible to go back to. So like I'm always looking at like what emotional age is this person, and I like the people in my life that I feel like are not just narcissistic traits, but like for real narcissism. I think emotionally, when they're triggered, you probably talking to a 2-3-year-old and a grown man body. They're like sure they can think and talk and work, do all of the things, but emotionally, that man is having a tantrum. You ever see a 2-year-old trying to get that way? Menaces. Like, I can to the realization my dad is a zero. And that's when it's like, he may not always be 6 years old. Sometimes you might be dealing with 21-year-old him. Sometimes you might be dealing with 13-year-old him. But when triggered, when there's an issue, when there's a discourse, that 6-year-old comes out. And that's where it's like 16, 26. And that's when it's like, no point in having this conversation. You're 6 right now. And this is also why it's important for you to start doing your own parenting. Because if you don't, you're going to require other people to do it. So you might be having that conversation and somebody who has agreed to parent their inner child is going to say, even if not in that moment, if he can't control a drunk 5-year-old, even if in that moment he can't control that 60-year-old, he should be able to like retreat, go into his bubble and say like, that wasn't right, and come back with some type of solution, some type of repair, because that will be the parent in him kicking in. But the issue is you never parent. You're not even willing to parent that 6-year-old, and you want me to. You want me to parent that 6-year-old for you. I'm not willing to do that. Now, I do think, and lady, I was thinking about this in regards to the conversation or one of the TikToks you made about like people feeling like somebody like waiting for somebody to come save them, and like the thought of like nobody's coming to save me is burdensome. I think relationships won't save you, but relationships will I'm trying to think how I want to say this. I do think we need relationships in the process of doing our work. That like it feels the thought of saving yourself feels burdensome, especially if nobody had a good relationship with yourself will invite enriching relationships into your life. Yeah, I think in that, like when you were saying Miss Madison was distraught, I think being distraught is a part of the process. That does feel like defeating, and like maybe you need to sit in that because there's grief in that. I talk about that in the Substack that I wrote today. Is like there is grief and like wait a minute. One, I've been laboring for love for you motherfuckers to come save me, and then now I'm finding out that all of that work was for nothing, and I have more work to do. It feels defeating, but I think on the flip side, if people knew that the work does lead to the relationships you're trying to labor for, it seems like it because there are meltdowns happening everywhere. I think I had a meltdown when I realized that like nobody's coming to save me. I think it was 2022 when I was talking about like that was the worst year of my life, and it was just like no one's fixing this for me. That like there's no one. Like I was so frustrated that year because it was my healing journey and my spiritual journey like went hand in hand. And so even spiritually of like being more in tune, my gifts are like starting to like I'm starting to be like hyper aware of things. This mediumship is coming in, and I just kept thinking like, where the fuck is my Babalao or my mentor, or like this is not normal like for somebody to not have any like I really felt like I was stranded on an island. And like when people talk about like their spiritual awakenings and like especially amongst like spiritual communities, because I didn't have that. Now I realize now I am thankful I didn't have that, because there's a lot of fuck shit that goes on within that too. But I just like, where is my spiritual mother? Where is my Babalao? Where like no one is coming to like teach me how to develop this or organize it, structure it, nothing. That like I gotta figure this out on my own. It felt like very insulting. I felt very insulted that like I feel called to this, but nobody is meeting me at the crossroads to like usher me into this. I was devastated when I realized that I didn't have anything to show for all the love about. Yeah, I feel it is devastating, and I think especially amongst Black women, I think it is a devastation that is layered because we do the saving for other people. When we think about feminism, we became the savior for white women. When we think about Black men, we have become their savior. And so like we are called to be the savior for everybody else. And like I'm thinking I'm saving y'all so that at some point y'all gonna save me too, right? And then like it just never comes. And like, oh, I gotta do it for myself is because it's a mindfuck of like, if I would have just started here, then I would be much further. I feel like that when I started this endeavor. Yeah, I could imagine. But I also think like you've been blessed with people to come in and say like I want to mentor you in this too though, which I think is truly a blessing and speaks to your abundance and um, your willingness to be a student. Sorry, excuse me. Um, so I do get that devastation, and I think that's one of the stages of grief. That like I don't even think you could rush nobody through that process of devastation, um, because we all arrive to it when we arrive to it, and you just can't sit in the pity of it too long, or it'll linger. And it's like we all, it really is heartbreaking. Um, but this is really heartbreaking, but I also feel like it's especially. I don't think like us as millennials, because I think most of us in here are millennials. I don't think we recognize how much is riding on our back. That we are the bridge for a lot of things. Most have been exploitative, so I've had to really sharpen my tools. Yeah. But you know what? With the exploitative, I also think about that back to the whole friendship thing of that, like, sure, I could look at these friendships or even people of like they've been trying to exploit me. But I also think like, how did you, how and why did you bring them in? Or like, what are they here to show me about myself if you got this far? Because the exploitative can only be attracted by the exploitee. And so in that way, I do think it's another doorway of walking you back home. Yeah, pray. I think that has also been another level of anger that I think I've been unpacking for the last couple of weeks. I've been like weaving in and out of being angry, of realizing how much I've been mishandled and how much I've normalized it. And that in itself is heartbreaking because I'm just now realizing that, like, wait a minute, you've been mishandling me. And I feel exploited here, but it's also a mindfuck of like, this has been going on for so long. How am I just now catching on? How am I just now realizing this? Seems like really crazy to me.
I'm gonna go swimming.
You changed your mind?
Yeah,
Are they at the pool downstairs or up front?
downstairs. You think I will walk all that way? Ooh, girl, count me out.
You said what?
I said, you think I will walk all that way? Ooh, girl, count me out.
Burnout brings awareness. It does. I feel like when I came out of that functional freeze 2 weeks ago, I've been feeling good ever since. Like, I really do think in that freeze moment, there's a lot to there's a like there in the freeze, there's a lot of ice melting in that, to where like it frees up some space when you do finally come out of it. Too ragged, too tired and raggedy to lie to yourself or ignore shit. Yeah, because it forces you to slow down. It forces you into what we deem as like laziness or not being as productive. Really, it's just like, okay, you're slowing down, and in that you're seeing all the like little things that you would usually not see when you're rushing. But realizing how much I've been naive has been heartbreaking, and I feel like that in itself has activated the need to parent me. That like, you've been totally unprotected, and for a very long time, like perhaps never protected, and that realizing no one is coming to save you, no one is coming to protect you, that like you're gonna have to do the protecting yourself, and even having to form the barriers of protection, the boundaries of protection is like, oh, okay. This is what people are talking about when they're talking about setting boundaries, is getting rid of harm. I underestimated how much harm it was. And now I feel like I'm trying to like fine tooth comb my life to find all the harm. And I don't know if that's just making me like hyper vigilant or overly protective. This is why I get upset when I ask folks what they need and they don't know. Yeah. I actually think the they don't know is a lie. They don't feel comfortable saying it. Is what I think. That it's not that they don't know. They think either they don't feel comfortable saying it because they feel like what they need is more than what people can give. So like, even if I say these are the things that I need, who's gonna meet them? Like, who's gonna do it? Like, this is asking for too much. Either that, or you haven't even given yourself permission to say that's a necessity, because it may not be what we deem as necessities. Like, it may not be about money. It might not be about food. It may not, like, they have created a list of necessity that doesn't include the things that they actually truly need, which is like what I was saying came up in Monday's meditation this week for me, is that like I have to expand my necessity list. That like I need forms of intimacy. I need reciprocal relationships. I need connection. That like those are necessities, because too, not having them will put me in an oxytocin deficit, and that also will derail all the other shit that's already on the list. Like, if you are love deprived, ultimately, which is what oxytocin deficit is, you can't think straight because you have monkey brain and thinking about like money perhaps that like if you actually had love and connection, that also lowers your stress levels to now maybe you could be open to new ideas, being inspired. Maybe that'll inspire you to have a business. You might open up to be an entrepreneur. You might have a great deal of ideas that are wanting to come through, are wanting to flow through, but can't because you're stuck in this state. And so you think you need more money. You think you need financial help when really you need connection. That was my revelation this week. Me too, I agree. That's how I know they're going to have a hard time with harmful stuff. So, I think needing to expand your necessity list. And I think the scary thing about that is like, what if I can't meet my needs? Because it puts you in a place to have to be vulnerable enough to need other people. Because I talk a lot about codependency. No, I don't think we should depend on people, like have an obligation to people. I think we need desire though, because desire is what elevates that love hormone. That's what expands your oxytocin. That like we do need people. We need community. We need relationships. We just don't need unhealthy ones that would cause us to be in a dopamine addiction instead of an oxytocin. Which I don't know if you could be addicted to oxytocin. Desire elevates the love hormone. Please put this on YouTube. I will. And something else I was thinking about, why it's so important to do shadow work, because you won't give yourself permission to even say what you desire. That like, if you're focused on ego, or like protecting the inner child and not parenting it, you'll be stuck on needs and not desire. So like back to the analogy with versus money versus connection, is like, okay, we all need money because we live here on earth, especially in America. We all need money. And so this is what the whole I ain't going 50-50, I ain't doing this, I ain't doing that, high value man, high value woman, those are those conversations. The Shira 7, they're talking about need, not desire. Like what type of man do you actually want? Like what do you want to experience in a relationship? That like completely throughout the experience of love in a relationship. That's why I said like I don't know that we need to decenter men. We need to decenter obligation. We need to center love. We need to center desire. Do you even like this person? Like if they weren't doing anything for you, would you like them? Do you like their character? Do you like their personality? That like you gonna throw all that out the window, all of the desire out the window because your needs are being met, and that's why you still unhappy. That like you living in a big beautiful house, but you're and he might be a good man. He ain't cheating on you nothing, but that's not even what you want. But you may not even know what you want because you haven't asked those type of questions of like, what do I actually want to experience? Why I keep burping? What do I actually want to experience? Excuse me. Sharing your life with a man you don't like or enjoy. But even beyond a man, I think women do it in friendship, in community, in work. They're like, I was talking to Ocean when I first started the live. I was thinking about applying to be a flight attendant because I want my life to feel like love, not just different sections of it. That like, I also want a career that feels exciting and that like I also get to tap into joy and love even in my career. I want love to be a part of my friendships. I want love to be in my home. I want love to be the center of my life. And then I don't want it to be based off of obligation. Right now my job is purely off of obligation. And I guess I've just been thinking about that more of like, what do I actually want to experience? And I think that's a good, I usually like to, I guess, do that like on Fridays, Venus days. Like, what do I want to experience today? And it usually works out, but I feel like now I need to expand it to other areas of my life. Because when you focus on experience, you get what you want. Like, versus the need. Because when you thinking about I need this thing, especially like I need this type of friend, I need this type of man. It's like, okay, you need a man that makes 6 figures and not cheat. Okay, what you gonna do with him? like what type of experiences do you want to have with this man? I think if you focus on the experience, the man will come. And it may not come in the package you thought it was gonna come. The friend may not come in the package you thought it was gonna come. The job may not come in the package you thought it was gonna come. But if you focus on the experience of the thing, it opens up the possibility. Because God, the universe, divine can work with that. Of like, oh, she wants to feel like this. We can put you into this feeling because feelings are free. That like, honestly, I think that's the easiest way to manifest something. That like, focus on how you want to feel. Because you can tap into the feeling before the thing actually even comes. All you got to do is close your eyes and visualize it, and you can feel it. Which is also like regressions, meditations have led me to, I think, like manifest a lot of things because I'm constantly tapping into an experience of a thing. Because even within meditations, like I've had some like really wild meditation, like visions and like shit that I've experienced in meditation. And like your subconscious is going to create the visuals that will make it make sense for you to have that experience. But the experience, as above, so below. So like you have that experience in your subconscious, it also has to be matched in your conscious state. So like even with the inner child regression workshop, you're going back in time, and even the regressions or the recalls, it may not be an exact memory of like this thing happened. Is your subconscious going back to where you're blocked at? So it may even create a situation that will put you back into that emotion, put you back into that experience that allows you now to process it from the age you are now. And so it's not so much that you're on a recall a specific memory. It may, but it's putting you into a space where you can zoom out of it being so personal enough to where you would block it out. I view a lot of things as just being my experience, while in it, nothing is permanent. Yeah, I think that's the best way to kind of stay happy. That like, I think a large part of the hardships in relationships in particular is thinking that it's going to be permanent. That like, I love you, you're my person, I'm holding on to you. That like, we right into the wolves fall out, versus if you just focus on your experience with the person, I think you can have a lot more enjoyable experiences. And when the experiences start to be like, I don't want to experience this, you'll acknowledge it a lot quicker. That like, you won't waste your time. That like, if you were in your body and actually experience it, actually present in it, you might have saved yourself 2-3 years. That like, you actually stopped liking this person a year ago, but like, you've been trying to make it work. You've been trying to justify it because you have attached yourself to this person, versus just allowing it to be an experience. I think even in terms of like long-term partnerships, I think the best partnerships are people who can be considerate of the other person's desire, even when it has nothing to do with them. I remember I wrote something, it might have been like 2 or 3 years ago. I know I was living here, but I was saying like, you don't have to manipulate or control or try to talk somebody into anything, into a relationship, into showing up for you. All you gotta do is invite them into your experience. And if that person also wants to experience the same thing, they also have a shared desire to experience that thing, that's how you're gonna stay together. So if you have a desire to have your life feel like love, and your partner does too, you guys are constantly going to be looking for the love in your relationship, not the hardship. Because my sight has been fixed on seeing the beauty, seeing the love, and that means I'm going to be looking at the love in you too. You're going to be looking at the love in me too, which means you're going to be looking at you're going to think the best of me. So even if I do something wrong, you're not going to assume I meant to hurt you, because you're thinking the best of me. So now we can have a conversation, because I'm not defensive. I know you have my best interest at heart. I know you are centering love the way that I'm centering love. And so that is how we could be in partnership together. But if you're centering love and you're saying, I want my life to feel like love, I want our relationship to feel like love, and they want comfort, they're looking for comfort in a relationship, that's not going to work, because love does not always equal comfort. This is like the essay I've been writing, like Death by a Thousand Cuts. Love also comes with a lot of having to die to yourself. But if I'm centering love, when we have conflict, I'm also going to look at it as like, I want to be loving here. What about me is restricting the love? What about me is having resistance to love being the center here? So then that's going to send me into my own shadow work. That's going to send me into having to do my own internal work so that I can maintain this love, because I've already said this is my desire, this is my priority. And you can't do any of these things if you don't love yourself. No, I don't. You wouldn't even be thinking about love being the center of your relationships if you don't love yourself, because you don't even know what centering love in your life looks like or feels like. This is really what I think started my own self-love journey, is starting to say like I will start to say like I wanted certain things to feel like love. I'm gonna post it. I think I have a thread. It's probably like from 2023 or 24. It's when I had first moved here. We hadn't really had furniture yet, and I had just like set the intention of I want my home to feel like love. Not any type of certain decor or anything like that. I just want my home to feel like love. And it started to like slowly piece together. That's what really started the Venus Day devotion, was like because that word, I just was like, oh, I want this to feel like love. I want this to feel like love. And that is what made me start to see that like it wasn't because I got a lump sum of money and I got to go out and buy all this furniture. It was like a slowly piece by piece thing. And it was like all of the things in my house have been one either thrifted or random, and it'd just be like I'm out and I'm like, oh, I like that. Oh, I think that would look nice here. Or even it was gifted to me. And so it has come together piece by piece. And because of that, it made me realize that like when my initial thought was like, oh, I need money to buy a couch, I need money to buy this, I need money, and like actually I just want it to feel like love. And I think that deepened my journey with self-love, because it made me realize love is always available. That like I don't really have to, because I guess like when you start doing like, you know, your healing journey and you trying to find yourself and love yourself better, you think it's all these different things that you got to do. Like, oh, I gotta journal, I gotta stretch, I gotta do yoga, I gotta do these. It's like those things help bring you back into your body, and when you're in your body, that's when the love comes. That's where the inspiration, and that's where the creativity comes from. That like the tools are to bring you back into your body so that the love can land. Because you could be saying, I want my life to feel like love, I want my life to feel like love, and then you're disassociated. So all these things are coming in, and you're like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I said I wanted $1,000 to buy a new chair, a new couch. I didn't say I wanted something from the thrift store. So like, are you even in your body enough to recognize when the things that you're asking for is actually here? And then I think that's where that desire versus need comes in. Like, are you focused on the experience? Are you focused on the desire? And I always give the analogy of sex, that like you're going to follow the pleasure in sex. That like if you're aroused, y'all doing your thing, you're going to move your body. Your motion is going to be finding the pleasure. You know when like, that's not the spot. Don't do that, do this. Let me move in this direction. When you are in the pursuit of pleasure, of like finding out like what feels good, it does take exploration, it does take curiosity, but it also takes for you to be able to move with it. You got to be able to be in flow with it. That like if you stiff and you just laying there, you letting him do everything, good luck. He might find a spot, he might not. Versus like this is gonna have to be like a co-creation of this is what has made me also stop having sex, as I started to look at like, do I want to share pleasure with you? Like take this like the sex out of it, because I mean, I could get to pleasure on my own. Do I want to share pleasure with you? That like you're in your, like when it comes to sex, they're in their own world, you in your own world. We're coming together and we're sharing in this experience, which means we're gonna share in pleasure together. Versus you could find that pleasure by yourself or with somebody else. I could find this pleasure by myself or with somebody else. I'm choosing to share this pleasure with you. Do I actually want to? And I think that in itself will start to love yourself more, but I think value yourself a lot more too. That like, this is about me, it's not about you. That like I'm willing to sharing this experience with you, but this is really my own experience. Like I used to have a meditation series called Mind Your Experience, and that in itself, like if I start to feel like too invested in something, that always rings in my ear. It's like mind your experience. You're worried about their experience. Mind your experience. And I think the best relationships, whether romantic or platonic, are relationships with people who mind their experience and are okay with you minding your own experience. They're like, sometimes our experiences will collide, as in like we're gonna experience pleasure together, we're gonna experience laughter together, we're gonna experience even sadness or grief together. We're gonna share in our aloneness, but at the end of the day, that's your experience, this is my experience. And I think that's a good way to like differentiate and not become enmeshed. That realizing they have their own shit going on, and so do you. And like when you look at it that way, it really makes you start to think like, who do I want to be in relationship with? Of like, do I actually want, if I'm saying I want my life to feel like love, and I'm calling in all of these experiences, and I'm focused on desire, I'm focused on pleasure, I'm focused on the experience of a thing, who do I want to invite into my experience? Because it makes you more mindful of like, I've been sending out these invitations of sharing my experiences with people I know gonna come in and fuck up the experience for me. I know for sure, like, you're not gonna make this pleasurable for me. You are actually gonna make it work. Like you're gonna sabotage it. That like, I can't even really enjoy this now. Like you didn't ruined a good meal or something. Or like, you ever be out shopping and it's like you find a shirt or some jeans or something and they done added something on it. It's like, these would have been some good jeans had you not added that butterfly. Or like, this didn't need to be a midriff shirt, it could have just been a regular shirt. It's like, makes you more mindful of like, what am I adding into my experience that just gonna fuck it up. I feel like we didn't totally got off topic and subject, but I think that's it. That's all. I guess, do y'all have any questions? Y'all want to talk about anything in particular? Um, the workshop there's still, I think, 11 spots left. The workshop is next Tuesday, June 9th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a group inner child regression. And the regressions, I'll walk you into a meditative space for you to regress to old memories or just really into your subconscious mind, so that you can retrieve the lost parts or the parts that are blocked or stagnant, and then kind of just really shows your patterns and be able to course correct, if you will, by acknowledging them, becoming more aware of like what is actually keeping you stuck or blocked. Like at the beginning of the workshop, one of the questions I'm going to ask is what is, so like if you've already registered, this is something you could think about, but think about something that you want, something you want to experience, since we're talking about experiencing. How can I sign up for the workshop? DM me, or you could go to the website in my description, and is on my website. It's under classes and workshops. One of the questions I'm going to ask at the beginning is what is something you want to experience, and to like think big about it. So like not in terms of manifesting a thing, but more so link in bio. That's why I didn't say link in bio, because I hate when people say that, but it is the link in my bio. I think me and you, lady, probably have to think about why the whole coach, link in bio, salesy thing. Like I feel like I'm so terrible at peddling and selling stuff, and I know I got to get better at it, because not even for the part, like, of course I need and want money, but even that's not the sole purpose of like wanting to do workshops and like working with people. One, I love regressions. I find them very fascinating. Every time I do a regression, I too be amazed. I think of it as like a case study. And so I find it very, very intriguing. And it always enhances my thought process. And I just really feel like I'm a student when I'm guiding in that way, because I too am curious of like what's going to come up for you. I mean, I always say like, I'm not a magician. I don't know what's going to come up for you, but I'm excited to explore with the person and like connect the dots of what it means. And so I think of it as like a mystery or like a puzzle. And so it's literally fun to me. And so I enjoy doing them outside of getting paid. Now, do I want to do them for free? No. So it's like selling it just feels like it takes away from the excitement of doing them just naturally for fun. And I know somewhere in between that I have to like get over it, but I don't know, like I need to do regressions for that in particular, that like whatever it is that keeps me blocked from wanting to make it a business, I gotta get over, because I don't know if it can reach the people without it being a business. And like, if you're not willing to do it for free, girl, it is a business. But it just, I don't know. But I think that's something feels fake about it. I think it's my judgment of others that's it's me judging others is also why it's like, well, I can't be judging other people and then turn around and do it. They're like something that I think that is the because I think especially when it comes to like doing readings and being in the spiritual don't put myself in the same category, even though I mean technically I am. It is because of my own judgment though, because as I can see how people get exploited, and I don't want to be exploitative, which is also why I think when I do talk about the things that I offer, and like if I'm doing a workshop, I'm just like, hey, it's here if y'all want, and I'm doing this thing. Sign up if y'all want. And it's like, girl, you can't put it like that. That like you do kind of gotta sell it, but like I was watching somebody live, and what it is, I could tell the exact thing people say to get them to sign up. Or like I can tell when people are selling to people pain points, and I don't like that. That like I don't want to trigger you into buying something from me. I don't want to trigger you into working with me. I would rather you be doing your work and you come across me and like, oh, this resonates. This is something I've been looking for. And I think the difficulty with that for me is like, I don't know if anybody for real is looking for what I do in particular, because I don't know if they know that it even is a thing. And especially I think amongst Black community, because I feel like amongst like love and like, I hate to say it, but white people are a lot more open to different forms of healing than Black people. I think rightfully so. Like, we have the right to be skeptical. But I also think some of our skepticism is keeping us from the level of healing we could achieve, because religion ain't it. I think a lot of us is just now getting around to going to therapy, and while I think therapy is a good step in the direction of healing, I don't think it's end all be all. That like it may help you unpack and make some connections, but I don't know how well it's going to do in terms of really doing things different and like putting things into action. And I think that's where coaching does help. So like the negative stigma around coaching, I think, is because it has been heavily exploited, but people do need coaching. That like mentorship and coaching is necessary to meet, I think, therapy to drive it home, because therapy deals with your thought process and like unpacking and intellectualizing, but then there's a somatic piece that is necessary. And for my work in particular is dealing with the unseen, so the emotions. And I was talking to Carlisa about this before, that like I also find it hard to sell because it's not an immediate fix. That like people are looking for results here now today. I paid you $150. I expect this shit to work next week. And it's like my work is centered around feeling and devotion and coming back into the body in practice. And that I always say nervous system healing is not a quick fix. That like it takes being able to return to it over and over and over again. And so I don't want you to be working with me for 2 years, but work with me enough to be able to establish the practice, get the tools enough to like, I can guide you there. And that way you know how to get there yourself. You know what it feels like to feel emotions in your body. You can do the tools on your own when it starts to come up. Now, if you get overwhelmed, sure, book a follow-up. But I don't think anybody should be working with a coach for a long period of time. I don't think anybody should be in therapy for 3+ years. That like I seen Dominique Morgan. She gave this analogy that is kind of like what did she say? Like it's kind of like a rehab center. Like you're only going there for rehabilitation. Eventually, you got to go out into the real and apply the shit, basically. And that's how I look at it. But I know I got to get better at it. Especially if I want to continue to grow in it. But I've been on here long enough. Today's Thursday. I might come on Monday instead of Tuesday since the workshop is Tuesday. And so I might come back between now and then to do the pedaling. Y'all have a good night and a beautiful rest of the week. Bye, y'all.